I wanted to just come back just a moment. Carter has already said who we are. Thank you all so much for coming, those of you who are in the room, and those of you who are watching on Facebook or perhaps YouTube a little bit later, or watching on our website. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you all. And we are a New Thought Center. And when she said love is all, that's what we believe, because we are all individualized expressions of one love, which is God, or whatever you call that which is greater than yourself. But I wanted to share this little thing because you brought that up, and I just read this recently. I've read it before, but I wrote it down actually so I could use it again and again. This is what Albert Einstein has to say about evil. It does not exist unto itself. It is simply the absence of God. It is just like darkness and cold. Good, a word that man has created to describe the absence of God. God did not create evil. Evil is not like faith or love that exists just as does light and heat. It is a result of what happens when we forget to have God's love present in our hearts. That is it. And that is why we know it is all love, all good, all God, because of who we are. So I know a lot of people ask that question, well, there's so much going on in the world, how can you say there's no evil? Because there's not. Because God created everything under the sun and did not create anything called evil. So we believe that God is all, and that we are individualized expressions of the one, and we just remember that as we go through our lives. Speak what you seek. There was so much has come to me this week, and I hope that I can keep this down to my normal time, but so much is in my head right now, and I just want to share it with you. I was watching, a couple of things came from Instagram this week, things that I saw and things that people sent to me. And there was this one cute, when you said, think what brings you joy. You know, when you close your eyes, what you think. And it's kids, babies and kids, and they're smiling and just having a great day and just unabashedly loving life. That's what brings me joy, just to look at them. And I was watching Instagram, and it was like a little 2-year-old, I think, and so sweet. And she was telling her mom, I feel sad, Mom. I'm sad today. And her mom said, oh, do you need a kiss? And she went, yeah, I need a kiss. And her mom says, well, you know, you can kiss yourself. And she says, why don't you do that? She goes, oh, mwah. And then she just started laughing. And so that's what we can do, right? If you're feeling sad, just kiss yourself. Mwah. And just have a great day. All right? That was just beautiful. And so I just want you to know that. So what we talked about last week, you are what you think you are. You are what you think you are. So claim your life, because what we think is what we become. And so it's really important that we get a hold of our thoughts. We have so many thoughts all the time. So it's not about these in and out thoughts that come, oh, what am I going to do for dinner? And oh, what's planned for the movie? Not these little thoughts, but thoughts that you constantly have that are negative or taking you in a direction that you don't want to go in. Oh, I can't possibly do that. I'm not smart enough for that. Somebody else has probably already thought about that. If I thought about it, somebody else did. Yes, they did. But they didn't think about it the way you did. And they're not going to present it to the world the way you will. So we just need to get a hold of our thoughts. And that's what last week was about. This week's message is about change how you play. Change how you play. And this is just about, if you can't change what's going on in life. You can't change what's happening. You can't change. You're sitting down to the game of life. You can't change the cards. The cards are what are dealt. All right? They're what are dealt. You sat down to the table, the cards are dealt. But you can change how you play. And what I mean by that is you can change what you accept. You can change how you feel about it. You can change so much with your thoughts. Just change how you play. Control over what you do is enough. Is enough. You can't control grown-ups. You can't control other people. You can't tell other people how to think or how to act or how to behave. Can't do it. But you can control and change what you do, how you think, how you approach something. This is all powerful. It's all the power you'll ever need in your life, is to know that. And that came to me because I was watching something on YouTube, and Ayala Van Zandt came across with this thing that I really like. And I agreed and disagreed in a couple of ways, but I'll tell you what I agreed with. Just what she says. I don't get to tell people how to love me. I don't get to tell people how to love me, because people love the way they love. We know about the 5 love languages. People love the way they love. So I don't get to tell people how to love me, but what I get to do is I get to see how they love and choose to participate or not. That's what you get to do. You don't get to tell people what they, but here's what you can do. Here's what I love. You can get to discuss some things with other people about what their ideas are, what your ideas of what love looks like, and what somebody else's idea of what love looks like. And that's, again, what the love languages tell us about what love looks like for them. It might be sitting with them and just talking with them, or buying them gifts, or noticing something that they did. There's different things. And if you love someone, you can look and say, this is how they love, and I can participate in a couple of ways in which they can appreciate that I love them. This is what happens when your heart is open to recognizing who you are, a divine, individualized expression of the divine, and who they are, an individualized expression of the divine, which means we are all love and capable of love. And one of my favorite sayings for myself is, be the first to love. Just be the first to love. Just walk in loving everyone. Just walk in and smiling and hugging. And if you want to hug, you can say, hey, baby, get off me. No problem. Just hug it off you. No problem. If you're not in the mood today, no problem. But I say, mwah, I love you from afar. That's my choice. What's yours? What is yours? Because the truth is, we are all lovable and we are all love. And if we see that in everyone, do you see how the conversation and what you see and who you love, how that's going to change, and what you're willing to do, how that's going to change? It's transformational. It's transformational. So if someone can't love you the way you desire to be loved, you can either decide the way they love works for you, or it isn't enough, or you can participate minimally, which I don't agree with because that minimizes your life, or choose to love someone who loves you the way that you can be, that you wish to be loved. You wish to be loved. But the truth, I believe, the deeper truth is that love transforms everything, everything. And if you show up in love, show up with your love, your heart. One of the prayers that Mother Teresa says all the time is, let me show up so that they can see, others can see the light of God shining through me. Let me show up so that others can see the love of God shining through me. And that is just showing up, seeing who somebody really is, and loving them exactly. And I'm not talking about loving their behavior. They could be doing something idiotic. You don't love that, but you love beyond the behavior. That's a practice. That's a practice. So there was a, so I'm just again going to talk about a lot of things about how you change the way you play, how you change the way you play. So I was reading an article on CNN, and it was about a woman. There was 3 people involved, so I'm going to get these names straight. It was Lisbeth, her boyfriend Carl, a friend Nick that they were going to stay with, and a guy named Mark. So Lisbeth and Carl, they were boyfriend and girl, long-term relationship, and they traveled all over the place. That's what attracted each other to each other, was that they loved traveling. And if they didn't have any money, they'd figure out a way to go where they were going, get in a car, hitchhike, whatever they were going to do, just go where they're going to go. So they decided they were going to go to San Francisco, and they had a friend, Nick, there, who had bought a building and turned it into 3 condos. He lived in one, and he rented out the other 2. So he let his friends, Lisbeth and Carl, stay in one place, and then this new person named Mark was staying in the other. So they all get there, they're having a great time, it's all wonderful and all of that. They're having dinner together, what have you. And Lisbeth realizes that she's falling in love with Mark. They haven't done anything, they haven't kissed, but the way that they're talking, just there is something in her heart that she's feeling, and something in his heart. She didn't know that he was feeling the same way, but that was it. And so she decided to do the unthinkable. Abandoned their further trip, because they were going to go on to Austin and do some other things. She abandoned that trip and decided to stay with Mark. Now, I don't know if you guys know how I feel about relationships. I was in a 37-year relationship. You don't give up on relationships. That's how I was raised. That is what is of value to me. If I decide to get involved in a relationship, I'm going to be there for the full term, whatever that may be. And now it's not my decision. Somebody decides to walk out, but I won't be that one because that's just not. It's just what I don't want to do that. So I was completely shocked. I'm like, how in the world? This is something I would always say. I've always said to myself, how are you married to someone and allow yourself to fall in love with someone else? How does that happen? Because you've committed. I mean, to me, the marriage it's about love, but it's also about the contract. It's about the contract. It's about your word that you've given, that you will be with this person and live with them and support them and love them and all of those things. So I was completely shocked. How in the world did she do that? And Mark didn't know that she was going to do it. So she just sent her Carl on his way in their little van, and she got the key to Mark's house and just went there and waited for him because he was at work. And went there and waited for him. By the way, he had a great dog, two great dogs she loved as well. So when he got home, she was there, and he just couldn't believe it. And he said, oh, my God, I can't believe you're here, because he loved her, too. He loved her, too. So they were together for quite some time. They had some ups and downs, but they are still together now after 20 years. They're still together. So here's my point. Here's what she said. And here's what I thought about later on. If you know there's a truth, your heart has changed. For whatever reason, it has changed. And the love of your life is in front of you. Are you supposed to shortchange your life and the life of the person that you're with, knowing that your heart is elsewhere? So she did what was hard. She did what was hard. She did what was courageous. She did what was true for her. And even if Mark didn't agree, she knew that her whole heart wasn't with Carl. Didn't need to be there anymore. And what she said is, I do not want to live with regret. I don't want to live with regret. I'm going to go for this. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work. It's not dependent on that person. It's dependent on my heart. So that is my question to you. How are you living? Are you living and doing what you really want to do, being who you want to be, or are you doing and being what you're supposed to do? We have a set of rules that we live by, values and beliefs. I honestly believe in that. But what I think more than anything else is to live by your true heart. Even when it goes against what you've already set up, it's your true heart. And it's hard to agree with that. It's hard to agree with that. But the heart knows. The heart actually knows. Living with no regrets, what does it look like? I've told you many, many times, I think I told you last week, I finally agreed with Jason and went to Vietnam with him. I did not want to go. I fought him on that for 20 years. I did not want to go. Didn't want to go. I could see no point in it. But because I loved him and I finally realized how much his heart needed to go, these are the decisions that we get to make, right? I went with him. And I said, all right, let's go. And it turns out that trip wasn't about Jason. We went because of him. But what I got and what I learned and how big my heart grew, I still have lifelong friends from that trip we took in 2011. And then we stayed for 11 years, by the way. It's only supposed to be for 30 days, but whatever. Whatever. The trip was for me. Her standing there and doing what was courageous was for her life. It wasn't about how it was going to turn out. She didn't know how it was going to turn out. What she knew was that her time with Carl was over, regardless of what was going to happen with Mark. If it did or it didn't, time with him was over. That is a tough thing. That is a tough thing because you don't want to hurt people's hearts. But what hurts worse? To stay where you don't want to be? You think people don't know that? People know that. Or to go where your heart really wants to be and set someone else free to be where they're supposed to be. Yeah? Those are hard things. I'm not advocating anything other than listen to your heart. So here's my final story. I think it's a final story. I might have another one after this. But anyway, there's so many stories came this week. And so we were at, I think we were at dinner on Thursday. We were talking about Chuck and Sarah and the dog. And we were just talking, and I think that Judy might have said something about, so let me bring you up to the story. Chuck is a great big Great Dane that lives next door to you, Artis, and well, Paul's name was in my head, and I was trying to say your name, Paul and Artis, and his name is Chuck, and the owner's name is Sarah, and we were talking about that. We were very nervous because Artis, I guess you must have been out of town, and someone else was out of town anyway. They were taking care. Paul was taking care of Chuck. Now, towards the end, he was getting just a little bit, we were concerned about him having to use a cane and this and that. And so he was actually taking care of that dog and walking that dog. Now, I said this is a big Great Dane, and somebody says, are there any other kind? No, but this was the biggest Great Dane I have ever seen. He was a miniature horse. And so we were worried about it. But what Sarah told us at the memorial last Sunday was that Chuck knew to take care of Paul. He never pulled him. He never ran into him. He just was gentle with him all the time. We didn't have to worry about it. The dog knew. The dog knew. And so that's what we started talking about. And then so what Judy was saying was, I wish that we could do that. I wish that we would know. And the fact is that we do know. We already know. Here's what we do. We're so used to talking so much that we trust our logic and our talking to do it for us when our heart knows more. Our heart already knows. And we simply won't trust it. We keep thinking, well, logically, it doesn't make any sense. Why should I do that? The dog is too big. I'm with Carl now. Jason and I are together. We've been together for a long time. We need to stay together. All the things that you tell yourself. But your heart, my heart already knew. Her heart already knew. And Chuck already knew. We already know. What we need to stop doing is talking so much. What we need to start doing is listening with our eyes closed. I love that song. You're exactly right. Because what we can see is not the truth. The truth is here. Close your eyes and feel it and know what is true. And then be courageous enough to step out with the truth you know. Nothing's going to happen if you don't. It's not like the world's going to fall apart. You just aren't going to have the better life that is waiting for you. That's all. Just not going to have the better life that is waiting for you. When we try to use words, I was sharing this earlier with Jim, that I watch a lot of legal stuff. Like I watched The Practice and Boston Legal and Shark and Suits. I just love all the legal stuff. And one of the things that they talk about a lot when they go into the courtroom is that the words that are in a contract or words that are in an email that somebody sent or whatever. You can't put intention in words. You don't know what they're really intended. You don't know this. The emotion is not there. The words don't convey enough about what you're really trying to do. And when we're talking to people, there's a lot of ways in which we say something and it's not what we meant. So Jim was telling me about something he saw on IG the other day. And I love those ones where somebody's going by with a camera and they see this little, I don't know what you call them, they're billboards, but they're not actual billboards. They're in front of a church or in front of a restaurant, and they've got these little sayings on there. So there was one little saying, and it was in front of a Baptist church, and it said, I'm going to get this right now. It said, "We love hurting people." This is in front of a Baptist church. We love hurting people. Now, what they meant was, we accept and help people who are hurting. Right? That's what they meant to say. But what they said was, we love hurting people. It's like, well, I'm not going there. Thank you very much. Okay? Words don't always convey what we think they're conveying, but the heart knows. I'm encouraging you all to know what you already know. Listen, it's your life. Here are the steps. It's your life. Live your life with no regrets. Do the best that you can. I'm just telling you, one of the best ways to know how to live is to listen to your heart. Stop talking. Stop talking. Stop talking yourself out of stuff. And listen to what your heart says it knows. Stop talking your heart out of what you already know to be true, because that is where God speaks to you. Spirit, higher, whatever you want to call that, which is greater. That's where divine love lives and speaks to you from your heart. So know that. Do what makes you feel good about you and your life. That's number 2. It's your life. Do what makes you feel good, not to the detriment of other people, but do what makes you feel good about you and your life. Live your life by your rules, yours, your way, what you're passionate about, what you value, what you believe in. Live your life in that way. And if you don't know what that is, surround yourself with love. This room is filled with love. Someone shared with me shared with us, I wasn't in the room, but we were doing afterwards, and they shared with me that they understand God's love, but sometimes it's too much. It's too much. And what does that mean? The love of God is so huge, sometimes we don't feel like we deserve it. We don't feel like we deserve it, and we parse it out. I only deserve this much. I can't take that. It's too much. I'm taking too much. And I fully believe that people who walk through that door for the first time, we're too much. We're too much because we fully love them. And we're like, hey! And right? They're like, oh my God, get out of here. We're too much. That's okay. We're not too much for long. People want it. They just don't know that they do. And it's real. It's hard to see what real love looks like. Real love is like that. It's arms open, wide. Good to see you. Have you ever seen me before? I'm seeing you now. And I'm glad to see you. Anyway, surround yourself with love. This conclusion, life is short, but it is beautiful. Live your life fully every single day. There's no time to play in a game that you don't like to be in. Don't waste your time playing a game of cards, whatever you're playing, that you don't want to be in. Don't be in it. Play another game. Change your mind, change the game for you. Change how you play, how you approach life, or change the game. Whatever you do, live your life fully right now. So I'm going to leave you with these quotes. Cherish today. Dream for tomorrow. But live for this day. That's what we have. And this is a combination of, that was an unknown quote, I don't know who did that, but this next one is a combination of song lyrics that I listened to when I was growing up and Bible quotes. This one says, "This is the day that divine love has given us, this day. So let us rejoice, give thanks, and be glad in it." And so it is. Namaste.